My wife told me to deal with it after ending our marriage in everything but name, so I used her dad's prenup nuclear clause Reddit stories. She thought she could lock me into paying bills while she lived a double life, sleeping in the guest room and coming home smelling like someone else's perfume. But the document her father made me sign became the one thing she never expected, my way out, and her downfall. Hey Reddit, I'm Alan, 36M. Ex-husband of Blair, 33F. Industrial welder. Hands like sandpaper, paycheck steady, life simple, until she decided we were restructuring our marriage into something more modern. Which apparently meant no intimacy, no conversations, no affection, no partnership, but still paying half the mortgage and doing all the maintenance. For 18 months, our house turned into a duplex. She slept in the guest room, lived on her phone, went networking at rooftop bars with coworkers until 2 a.m., and came home smelling like expensive perfume I didn't recognize. Every time I tried to talk, "You're overthinking. Don't make me feel guilty for having a career. You're holding me back." Then Tatiana, her divorced 3 times coworker, became her spiritual guide of bad decisions. The distance grew into a canyon. Finally, one Saturday, after 10 weeks without intimacy, Blair looked me straight in the eye and said the magic words. "I'm not sleeping with you anymore. Deal with it." No explanation. No attempt to fix anything. Just deal with it. So I said, "All right." And she smiled, thinking she'd finally trained me to accept her new reality. But the thing is, I meant something completely different. Because her father? The investment banker genius who made me sign that prenup 8 years ago? He accidentally gave me the nuclear option. And she had no idea how close she was to losing everything. The morning after she told me to deal with it, I packed a duffel bag quietly at 4:45 a.m. Clothes, toiletries, laptop, my welding hood. Left the wedding band on the dresser. Wrote a note on the kitchen counter. "You wanted space. Here it is. Do not contact me unless necessary." Then I walked out. I drove straight to my best friend Dante's place. He didn't even blink, just pulled out the spare room key and handed it to me. "You're not living like that another day," he said. By 10 a.m., I'd opened a new bank account, rerouted my direct deposit, pulled out exactly my half of the joint funds, documented every dollar, scheduled a meeting with a divorce attorney. Not a single impulsive move. Everything clean. Everything legal. Then came the prenup. My attorney Carter, a calm, razor-sharp guy, looked at the document her father drafted 8 years ago. 6 minutes into reading, he leaned back in his chair and smirked. "You know there's an infidelity clause, right?" I blinked. "What clause?" He read aloud. "If either spouse engages in extramarital sexual or romantic conduct, they forfeit all rights to marital assets and spousal support. Protection for their side of the family. But protection that now worked for me." Carter closed the folder. "If she cheated, she walks away with nothing." My stomach twisted. Because deep down, I already knew. The late nights. The networking dinners. The 3 a.m. giggles behind her closed door. The sudden coldness. The coworker she kept quoting, Raphael. Then I remembered something. The old tablet in the kitchen drawer. The one still synced to our shared cloud account. If she was messaging someone, every message would be on that tablet. Carter held up a finger. "Don't break into devices." "But anything synced to your shared account?" "Completely admissible." That night, I sat on Dante's couch staring at the ceiling, heart pounding. If I was wrong, I'd feel like the worst husband alive. But if I was right, then she hadn't just thrown away our marriage. She'd handed me the legal equivalent of a golden ticket. I waited. Waited for her next business trip. A 4-day recruiting conference in Atlanta. The second she boarded the flight, I drove to the house. Opened the drawer. Found the tablet. Plugged it in. It synced. 312 unread messages. One contact saved as R. And when I opened that thread, everything I suspected, everything I tried to ignore, exploded onto the screen. Photos, hotel bookings, screenshots of their work trips, conversations mocking me, conversations planning their next meetup, conversations from 7 months ago bragging about how I'd never notice. She wrote, "He's basically a roommate now. I deserve better than a welder. He's too busy working to even realize we're done sexually. He'll just have to deal with it." And photos. So many photos. Including one taken in our guest bedroom. I sat on that kitchen floor for an hour, silent. Then I screenshotted everything. Every message. Every photo. Every timestamp. Every hotel charge. Every insult. Every lie. And sent it all to my attorney. Carter called me at 1:12 a.m. "Alan, this is airtight. We're going to bury her." Blair came back from Atlanta on Friday night. She didn't look guilty. Didn't look nervous. Didn't ask where I'd been staying for the past week. She just texted, "Mortgage is due Monday. Water bill came. Can you swing by Sunday to go over it?" Like I was a coworker she needed to review spreadsheets with. Like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't spent 4 days in another man's hotel room. Sunday morning, the performance. She greeted me in the kitchen wearing business casual like she was hosting a TED Talk, not addressing the corpse of our marriage. She gestured to the chair. "Sit. We should talk." I sat. Calm. Knowing every card she thought she held was already ash. Then she launched into what was clearly a rehearsed speech. "Alan, we've evolved past traditional marriage. What we had doesn't work for me anymore." She began outlining her vision, like she was pitching a startup. Separate rooms. Separate schedules. Separate emotional lives. But shared bills. Shared house. Shared maintenance. Shared stability. Shared me paying half so she could keep living comfortably. "You're good at structure," she said. "You keep things running smoothly. I need that. But I don't want to feel restricted anymore." "Restricted?" She said that, as if I'd ever controlled a single thing she did. I asked one question. "So you want to stay married legally, but live life as if you're single?" She brightened, relieved I understood. "Yes. Exactly. A modern, mutually beneficial arrangement." She thought she was being progressive. She thought this was empowerment. She thought I was the kind of idiot who would smile and accept scraps while she lived a double life. I stared at her across that kitchen table, where we used to eat dinner together, where we used to laugh, where she used to look at me like I was her person. Now she looked at me like I was the HVAC system. Useful, invisible, and easily ignored unless broken. So I nodded. "We can do that," I said softly. "I just need to get some logistics sorted out." Her shoulders relaxed. She genuinely looked relieved. She thought she'd won. She thought she'd trapped me into being her married roommate. But while she was outlining her fantasy arrangement, my attorney was finalizing a filing packet thick enough to stun an ox. Monday morning. She texted me at 8:14 a.m. "Don't forget to pay the power bill." At 10:02 a.m. My attorney filed. Petition for divorce. Copy of the prenup with infidelity clause highlighted. 147 pages of documented proof. Screenshots. Photos. Joint account payments for hotel rooms. Messages with Raphael. Timestamps. Cloud records. And Carter, being a man who enjoys poetic justice. Scheduled service for 3 p.m. at her office. In front of her entire recruitment team. 3:12 p.m. the fall. I wasn't there. But the process server later told us. When she opened the envelope and saw dissolution of marriage, her face strained like someone pulled the plug. When she saw infidelity clause, she swayed. When she saw the evidence, she sat down. Hard. Her entire team watched. 2 senior partners watched. Tatiana, who was visiting the office, watched with a smirk that faded fast when she realized it implicated her too. 23 missed calls. I didn't answer a single one. Dante and I sat on his couch eating pizza while my phone buzzed itself into a seizure. Messages flipped between. We can fix this. Please talk to me. How could you do this? You're destroying our life. You humiliated me. But she wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got caught. And by the time she showed up at Dante's apartment that evening, makeup smeared, hair wild, eyes swollen, I was done with the part of my life where I let her rewrite reality. She stormed in. What did you do to me? I just handed her the tablet. The screen lit up on her own messages. Her own photos. Her own betrayal. And her face collapsed. Blair didn't crumble gracefully. The moment she saw her own messages on the tablet, the hotel photos, the late-night flirting, the "he'll never find out" texts, her whole body went rigid, like her brain was sprinting through every possible excuse at once. Then she lunged for the tablet. Dante stepped between us without even looking up from his slice of pizza. Don't, he said, voice flat. Sit down. She didn't sit down. She spun toward me instead. You violated my privacy. This is illegal. I'll sue you for everything you have. I almost laughed. It's a shared device, Blair. Signed into our shared account. In our shared home. You didn't even bother to log out. My attorney already verified it. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. So she pivoted, straight into full meltdown mode. You blindsided me. You humiliated me at work. Everyone saw. The partners saw. They think I'm trash now. I shrugged. You're the one who wrote the messages. That's when she switched to the next tactic. Victim mode. I made a mistake, she said, tears welling instantly, fake, sharp, weaponized tears. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can go slow. I'll be better. I'll do anything. She reached for my hand. I didn't let her touch me. Blair, I said, calm, steady, almost bored. You told me you were done being a wife. You told me to deal with it. So I did. She froze. And right then, because the universe has a sense of humor, Tatiana walked in. Like she'd been waiting outside for her dramatic cue. She pointed at me like she was accusing a witch in a medieval trial. This is misogyny. This is control. Blair made one mistake because she felt neglected. Men do this all the time and women forgive them. Dante didn't even look at her. Tatiana, he said, you cheated on 3 husbands. Sit down before karma finishes the job. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing. Tatiana sputtered. Flapped her arms. Eventually started ranting about patriarchy and emotional labor. Meanwhile, Blair was alternating between sobbing, screaming, and staring at the tablet like it was counting down to her execution. Finally she screamed. You're leaving me over this? I stared at her. Blair. You didn't leave me any choice. You left me months ago. You just forgot to move out. Tatiana gasped like I'd fired a gun. Blair's face twisted. Then came the final line, the one that told me she still didn't understand anything. You can't do this to me. I deserve half. I gave you the best years of my life. I nodded slowly. And your father's prenup says you lose everything if you cheat. So technically you gave yourself nothing. Silence. Even Tatiana shut up. Dante leaned back on the couch and whispered. Goddamn. Blair's knees buckled. She grabbed the arm of the sofa to steady herself. Her voice came out small. Alan, please, don't destroy me. I looked her dead in the eyes. I'm not destroying you. You just never thought your actions would have consequences. She broke. Tatiana tried to drag her out, muttering curses, mascara streaked like war paint. I let Dante close the door behind them. The apartment went quiet. He handed me another slice of pizza. "Well," he said, "that was satisfying as hell." It was. But the best part. The fallout hadn't even started yet. The next morning, while I was welding supports for a custom railing job, my phone buzzed with a text from Carter, my attorney. "Carter," her lawyer called. "They want to challenge the prenup. It won't go well for them. Stay tuned." I grinned under my helmet. Because here's the thing about Blair's dad, the mighty investment banker who treated me like a charity case the day I asked for his daughter's hand. He didn't believe in emotions. He believed in contracts. And the prenup he drafted? Brutal. Precise. Ironclad. Infidelity clause highlighted in bright yellow like he knew his daughter's moral compass spun like a busted ceiling fan. Her attorney tried everything. Carter updated me later that afternoon. First, they tried to claim I accessed her messages illegally. Carter shut that down in 90 seconds. Shared device. Shared account. No password changed. No expectation of privacy. She voluntarily synced everything herself. Case closed. Then they tried to argue she'd signed the prenup under duress. Carter emailed them a PDF with time-stamped emails showing she reviewed it for a week. A message from her father telling her to sign it. Carefully and with full understanding. A witness confirmation from the notary. Her own signature stating she signed voluntarily and without pressure. They folded that argument in record time. 48 hours later, another update. Carter called. "Alan, they're panicking. She has no legal footing. Settlement is her only option." What does settlement mean under the prenup? It means she gets no part of the house. She gets no part of joint savings. She gets no spousal support. She gets no claim to my retirement contributions. She gets none of my overtime or bonuses. She walks away with her car, the clothes she packed, her premarital savings, which were minimal. That's it. 8 years together, and she gets a suitcase and a Honda Civic. Not because I wanted to ruin her. Because she ruined herself. Blair finally reached out. Wrong approach. Her first text. "We need to talk." Ignored. Her second. "My lawyer says you're being unreasonable." Sent to Carter. Her third. "Why are you doing this to me?" As if I'd cheated on her. Her fourth. "Fine. I'll move out next weekend. Can you at least help with the movers?" I laughed so hard Dante thought I'd inhaled welding fumes. But then a twist. That night, around 10 p.m., I got a Facebook message from someone named Harper. No mutual friends. Profile looked real. Professional photos. Bio said she was a commercial photographer. I almost deleted it. Then I read the first line. "Hi. You don't know me, but I'm Raphael's girlfriend. Well, ex-girlfriend now." My eyebrows hit my hairline. She continued. "Found everything between him and your wife on his laptop. I had no idea she was married. Leaving him tomorrow. Just wanted to say, you deserve better than those two clowns." She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't fishing. She wasn't trying to trauma bond. Just straightforward, human honesty. So I replied. A simple, "Sorry you went through that too." She answered in seconds. "Honestly? I'm relieved. He did me a favor, now I know who he is." We talked for an hour. No flirting. No agendas. Just two people comparing the wreckage left behind by the same wrecking ball. Before logging off, she wrote, "If you ever want to grab a coffee and laugh about our mutual disasters, I'm around." I didn't commit to anything. But I also didn't delete the message. Because for the first time in 2 years, something felt light. Something felt possible. Something felt like the beginning of a life after Blair. I didn't plan on meeting Harper. Honestly, after 8 years of carrying Blair's emotional baggage like an unpaid bellhop, dating anyone felt like trying to run a marathon after a car accident. But Harper? She wasn't pushing anything. Just real. 3 days after her message, she texted, "I'm grabbing coffee near Riverside. If you want company that doesn't cheat on you, I'll be at Corner Brew." I actually laughed. Out loud. Which I hadn't done in months. So I went. The first meeting. She was sitting by the window wearing jeans, a flannel, and zero performative energy, the exact opposite of Blair's curated perfection. She smiled when she saw me. "You must be Alan," she said. "Sit. Tell me something dumb your ex did so I feel less alone." It was the easiest conversation I'd had in years. We talked about welding versus photography. Turns out both require precision and heat. Who knew? Raphael's inflated ego. How corporate recruiters think networking is a personality. How two normal people ended up trapped with the worst pair of human LinkedIn profiles ever created. She was sharp, dry, funny in that sarcastic way that reveals intelligence instead of bitterness. No flirting. No pressure. Just breathing room. When we finished, she said, "Want to do this again? Maybe not talk about our idiot exes next time?" I nodded. And then it just happened. Over the next few weeks, she became the calm in a storm I didn't know I was still walking through. Coffee turned into a dinner at a burger joint. A walk by the river. Her coming to see me weld. "This is weirdly hot," she said, dead serious. Movie nights. Leaving a hoodie at my place. Then another. Then a toothbrush. Every step felt natural. She never treated me like a backup plan. Never talked down to my job. Never acted like she was auditioning for an Instagram lifestyle. She liked me. Not what I provided. Not my paycheck. Not my stability. Me. And that was new. Of course, Blair heard about it. Fiona texted me one night. "Your ex is losing it. She found out you're dating Raphael's ex. This is better than reality TV." 10 minutes later, Blair texted, "How could you betray me like this?" I actually had to sit down. Betray her? I didn't respond. She tried again. "You're just doing this to hurt me. It's sick." Sent that one straight to Carter. But the real fireworks came next. A week later, Harper cooked breakfast at my place. Eggs, toast, nothing fancy. I was in the garage sorting tools when someone started hammering on the front door like they were conducting a police raid. I came around the corner just in time to see Harper open it. And there was Blair. Hair wild. Mascara streaked. Pajamas under a trench coat. Looking like the ghost of bad decisions past. Her eyes locked onto Harper, then onto me. "You're really doing this? You're with her? In our house?" Harper calmly lifted her spatula. "Hi, Blair. We've actually met. Your boyfriend introduced us." Small world. Dead silence. Then Blair exploded. "This is deranged. You moved on in 2 months. I gave you 8 years. Harper stepped closer. "You cheated for 7 of them. Your math is off." Blair lunged toward her. "And that was the wrong decision." Harper's hidden skill. Blair shoved her. Hard. Harper didn't flinch. She caught Blair's wrist midair, clean, effortless, and said, "Don't." Blair, apparently committed to the Olympic sport of terrible choices, swung with her other hand. Harper blocked it, swept her legs, and put her face first against my garage door in one smooth movement that made me question whether she had CIA training. "You're done," Harper said. "Leave. Before you get arrested." Blair scrambled away, screaming about betrayal, misogyny, conspiracies, whatever came to mind. Harper dusted her hands. "Your ex-wife has the hand-eye coordination of a drunk flamingo." I choked on a laugh so hard I had to lean against the wall. Then Harper went back to cooking like nothing happened. And that's when I realized I hadn't just left a toxic marriage. I'd stepped into a version of life where people respected me. Boundaries mattered. Someone actually cared what I felt. Breakfast came with peace instead of dread. For the first time in a decade. I was happy. And Blair? She had no idea the final collapse of her world was still coming. The fallout from Blair's porch meltdown hit the family and friend networks like a tornado. Tatiana's version of events, a comedy. She posted on Instagram. Some men can't handle empowered women reclaiming their lives. Violence is never the answer. Violence. Harper literally defended herself while holding a spatula. Meanwhile, Fiona screenshotted the post and sent it to me with, "Is this satire?" Blair's next move, threats. 3 days later, I got a text from Blair. "I'm filing assault charges against your girlfriend." I forwarded it to Carter. His response: "Tell her to go ahead. I have 3 neighbors' doorbell videos showing she initiated physical contact twice. If she files, we countersue for assault, trespassing, and harassment." I sent that to Blair. She never replied. Her dad steps in. Then, out of nowhere, I got an email. From her father. The investment banker. The man who once referred to my job as skilled labor, cute. The man who insisted on the prenup that was currently incinerating his daughter's finances. His email. "Alan, I understand things have become strained. Regardless of what happened, I hope we can discuss a path that protects Blair's future." Translation: "Please don't let my daughter go broke. It'll make me look bad at the club." Carter told me not to respond. "You owe him nothing," he said. "He wrote the prenup. He made the rules. He doesn't get to rewrite them now." The settlement hearing. The courthouse felt colder than usual. Blair arrived with her attorney, looking like she'd aged 10 years in 5 weeks, hair dull, cheekbones sharp, wearing a blazer that didn't fit like her old ones. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vindictive. I felt done. The judge reviewed the documents, prenup, evidence, financials. It took 28 minutes. In those 28 minutes, Blair lost the house, lost any claim to savings, lost rights to my retirement contributions, lost spousal support, lost the comfortable lifestyle she'd built on my stability. She walked away with her car, her clothes, her premarital retirement, around $14K. Whatever dignity she could gather on the way out. She didn't look at me once. Not until the judge said, "This marriage is dissolved." Then she glanced up, eyes full of something that wasn't love or regret. It was disbelief. She genuinely never thought consequences applied to her. Not when she cheated. Not when she lied. Not when she told me, "Deal with it." After court, I walked outside feeling like I'd walked out from under a collapsing roof. Harper was waiting in the sun, leaning against her car. "How'd it go?" she asked. "All done," I said. "She gets nothing." She smiled, not smug, not gloating, just soft satisfaction. "Good. Now let's get lunch. You're free." And as we drove away, I realized something. Blair had spent years choosing a fantasy over reality. I chose reality. And reality, with Harper's hand resting on mine at a red light, felt a hell of a lot better. But the universe had one more twist ready. A twist with a job loss, a confrontation, and the one apology I never expected to get. And none of it came from Blair. 2 weeks after the settlement hearing, I thought the dust had settled. I was wrong. Turns out, when you rip the mask off someone who's been performing their whole life, the fallout doesn't just hit you, it hits everyone orbiting them. The call from Fiona. It started on a Tuesday. I was at work grinding welds smooth when my phone buzzed during lunch. Fiona never calls during work hours. Ever. I picked up. She didn't even say hello. "You ready for this?" "Ready for what?" "She got fired," Fiona said. "Blair's out." Company escorted her out with a cardboard box. I blinked at my sandwich. "How do you know?" "My friend Angela works in HR there." Whole floor saw it. I leaned back in my chair. Not celebrating. Not pitying. Just absorbing. What happened? I finally asked. The partners subpoenaed her work emails during the divorce discovery, Fiona said. And surprise, she was having the affair on company time with a senior consultant. Ah. Corporate kryptonite. Not just cheating. Cheating on the clock with a coworker in a leadership role. You're kidding, I muttered. Nope. HR found out she used a company card for 2 of the hotel rooms. That's misuse of company funds. And the messages? Disgusting. They were mortified. She paused. Oh, and guess who else got fired? Raphael? Bingo. Man's resume is about to have a crater you can see from space. I didn't laugh. But I didn't feel bad either. Actions. Consequences. Gravity. They always land eventually. The unexpected visit. That Friday night, Harper and I were making dinner, pasta, garlic bread, the kind of simple meal that feels good because the company is good, when someone knocked. Not pounding this time. Just a small, soft knock. Harper looked at me. That's not a crazy ex-knock, she said. I opened the door. And there stood Blair's father. The man who made me sign the prenup. The man who once inspected my handshake like he was checking livestock. The man who called my job noble working-class stability, in the tone someone uses for a participation trophy. He looked terrible. Older. Smaller. Alan, he said quietly. May I come in? I stepped aside. Harper slipped into the kitchen, giving us space. The apology I never expected. He stood in my living room, hat in his hands like a man preparing for a funeral. I'm not here to fight, he said. I'm here to apologize. I didn't speak. He cleared his throat. When Blair told us you filed for divorce, she left out the infidelity. She said you were abandoning her for a younger woman? I raised an eyebrow. He winced. Then the evidence surfaced. He ran a hand over his face. Alan, I had no idea how badly she'd behaved. No idea how long it went on. The firm told me yesterday she'd been fired. She's been lying to us for months. Silence. Then, I'm sorry, he said, voice breaking slightly. I'm sorry for what she did. I'm sorry for how we treated you. And I'm sorry for that prenup. I actually laughed softly. No, you're not, I said. He cracked a tiny smile. All right. I'm not sorry I wrote it. But I'm sorry it came to this. He looked around my house, smaller than Blair's childhood home, simpler, cleaner, honest. You were good to her, he said. Better than she realized. Better than she deserved. That hit harder than I expected. He reached into his pocket and offered me an envelope. I know you don't need help. But I failed to protect my daughter from her worst impulses. Consider this recompense. I didn't take it. He nodded, not offended. Then give it to someone who needs it, he said. Or burn it on your grill. It's yours either way. He turned to leave. At the door, he stopped. She asked to move home, he said quietly. We're letting her. But we also told her. You made this bed. Now learn from it. He looked almost broken. Take care of yourself, Alan. Then he walked into the night. I stood there for a long time. Harper eventually came over and leaned into my shoulder. You okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. For the first time in a long time, yeah. But the story wasn't done. Because the next revelation wasn't about Blair. It was about me. About something I'd forgotten how to want. Something I wasn't expecting to get again. Something Harper didn't know she was about to change. Life got quiet after Blair's firing. Not awkward quiet. Not tense quiet. Just peaceful. For the first time in years, my house didn't feel like a minefield. No silent treatment. No passive-aggressive comments. Number 2 A.M. Networking sessions. No walking on eggshells while someone else decided which version of themselves they'd be today. Just work, welding, Harper, sleep. It was almost unsettling how good normal felt. But peace has a way of exposing what you've been avoiding. One Thursday night, Harper came over after a long photography gig. She walked in wearing one of my hoodies, hair in a messy bun, carrying tacos like an angel sent by DoorDash. We ate on the couch, watched a dumb cooking show, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a decade. Home. Not house. Not routine. Home. Halfway through the episode, she paused the TV. "Alan," she said softly, "you keep flinching when you're happy." I blinked. "What?" "You do this thing," she said, making a little motion with her hand. "Like you're waiting for someone to yell at you. Or snap. Or ruin it." I stared at her. She wasn't accusing. She wasn't probing. She wasn't psychoanalyzing me. She was observing. Kindly. Gently. Honestly. I swallowed. "That's old habit," I finally said. "From Blair?" "Yeah." Harper nodded slowly. "Then we should break that habit." She said it like she was fixing a loose picture frame, not rewiring a man who'd been emotionally neglected for years. It wasn't a grand moment. It wasn't a kiss or a confession or fireworks. It was Harper setting down her taco, shifting closer, and pressing her forehead to mine. "Alan," she whispered, "you're allowed to be happy. And you're allowed to want things. Big things. Future things." I froze. Because here's the truth I hadn't admitted even to myself. I didn't know if I could want anything anymore. Blair had spent so long making me feel like partnership was a burden, like wanting connection was needy, like expecting stability was childish. So I'd buried my needs so deep I'd forgotten where I put them. Harper lifted my chin with one finger. "What do you want?" she asked. No one had asked me that in years. No one had cared. I took a breath. "I want..." The words caught. Not from fear, from unfamiliarity. She waited. Patient. So I said it. "I want something real. Something solid. Something where I don't have to earn my right to exist every day." She smiled, small, warm, the kind that sinks straight into your ribs. "You already have that," she said. And then she told me something that shifted everything. "I talked to a real estate agent today," Harper said. "I'm selling my apartment." I blinked. "You're moving?" She shook her head. "I'm hoping we move. A beat. Together." Like a truck dropped past my ribs. We'd been dating for barely 4 months. I should have panicked. I should have hesitated. But instead, I felt my lungs finally fill completely. I didn't flinch. I didn't fear. I didn't brace for impact. For the first time since before Blair, I wanted forward. I wanted more. I wanted us. I didn't answer yet. Not because I was unsure, but because something else needed to be addressed first, something still tethering me to the past. So I took her hands. "We will," I said. "But before we make that leap, there's something I need to do." Harper tilted her head. "What's that?" I exhaled. "Reclaim the house. Not legally, emotionally." Because the next step wasn't cohabitation. It was cleansing the ghosts that still lived in my walls. And the universe had perfect timing. Because the very next day, I got a phone call that forced me back into the one place I thought I'd finally escaped. The house I'd once shared with Blair. And what I found inside changed everything about what came next. I hadn't been back to that house, the one Blair and I bought, renovated, fought in, slept apart in, for weeks. After the divorce, I told Carter I didn't want to set foot inside until the court officially transferred the deed. He agreed. No reason to rush the emotional landmine. But that Friday morning my phone rang at work. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. Something told me not to. "Alan?" a man's voice said. "This is Frank. From Riverside Neighborhood Security." My stomach tightened. He continued. We've had multiple noise complaints from your property. Neighbors reported someone yelling, banging on doors, throwing things. I frowned. That house should be empty. A pause. That's the problem, he said. Your ex-wife hasn't moved out yet. And she's not doing well. Perfect. Exactly the kind of closure I didn't want. Frank cleared his throat. You'll need to come by today, sir. She's refusing to leave and says she still lives there. I closed my eyes. She'd been ordered by the court to vacate within 10 days. Today was day 11. All right, I said. I'll be there in an hour. The drive back felt surreal. Harper offered to come. I said no. Not because I didn't want her there, but because the ghosts in that house were mine to face. When I pulled into the driveway, 2 neighbors were out front pretending to weed their gardens while blatantly watching. Good. Let them watch. I unlocked the door. And froze. The place looked like a storm had lived inside it. Furniture overturned. Boxes everywhere. Empty wine bottles rolling on the hardwood. Clothes scattered like a tornado had emotional damage. Then I heard a crash in the kitchen. I walked in. And there she was. Blair. Hair unwashed. Eyes red. Still wearing the clothes she'd been fired in, rumpled blazer, worn heels, mascara permanently stamped under her eyes. She spun when she heard me. You! She screamed. You ruined my life! She grabbed a plate off the counter and hurled it at the wall. It shattered. I didn't flinch. You need to leave, I said calmly. This is my house. It was. Now it's mine. Court order. She staggered toward me, pointing a shaking finger. You took everything from me. No, I said quietly. You threw it away. She laughed, a bitter, broken sound. You don't understand. Raphael dumped me. My dad cut me off. Tatiana hasn't answered in weeks. I have nothing. And that? That finally hit me. Not pity. Not anger. Just clarity. Because it was never about deserving more or restructuring or empowerment. Blair wasn't searching for freedom. She was running from accountability. And now that it caught her, she didn't know how to stand. She collapsed into a chair. Not gracefully. Not dramatically. Just exhausted. Why didn't you fight for us? She whispered. That one surprised me. I did, I said. For months. You shut every door. She looked down. I thought you chased me harder. Of course she did. She grew up with a father who rewarded tantrums and a mother who rewarded manipulation. She believed love meant pursuing the person while they made you bleed. I exhaled. Blair, I want you to hear this. She looked up. You didn't break me. You just taught me what I won't tolerate again. She blinked. Quiet. Still. Then she whispered. Do you love her? She didn't say Harper's name. She didn't need to. I took a breath. Yes. Her lip trembled. Does she love you? Yes. A long silence. Then the tiniest nod. Then, go, she said. Her voice barely audible. Before I make you hate me more. For the first time in years. She was honest. Broken. Small. Human. I didn't hate her. I just didn't belong to her anymore. My final words to her. I hope you fix your life. I said. But I'm not part of the version you fix it for. She didn't respond. She just stared at the wall like she was meeting a stranger. I turned, walked out, and closed the door behind me. Frank, the security officer, nodded as I passed. She leaving? He asked. Yeah, I said. She will. She's got nowhere left to run. When I got home, Harper was waiting on my porch, arms folded, concern written all over her face. How was it? I sat next to her. It felt like saying goodbye to a ghost. I said. She took my hand. You don't have to go back there again. I know. And for the first time, it felt true. But something unexpected happened the next day. A letter arrived in my mailbox. From an attorney. Not mine. Not Blair's. Tatiana's. And what was inside was the last thing I ever expected. The spark that would push this story toward its real finale. Tatiana wasn't suing me. She was suing Blair for defamation, interference with employment, and unpaid consulting fees. The list of names? Other women Blair had dragged into her mess with lies, gossip, and fake accusations. Harper exhaled. So the puppet master just cut her own strings. I folded the letter. This isn't my war anymore. And for the first time, I realized the past was finally collapsing without me holding it up.